friends, and welcome to another Filofax Friday. And today I'm going to be looking at time management and prioritising your time and your tasks and goals. Right then, so got me a cup of tea and I suggest you do the same. It seems kind of, I think it seems kind of ironic really that a video about time and time management is quite so long, but just bear with me. I have a lot of information that I kind of want to put across to you, and I think it is really important and something that I really want you to put across. In the beginning, you need to invest a little bit of time, and it is worth spending a bit of time on yourself and working out who you want to be and where you want to go and how you're going to get there, because if you just spend a little bit of time doing that, everything else falls into place. So yeah, so just bear with me on that. And I just wanted to say also that thank you to all your responses to last week's video on goal setting. I hope some of that was useful for you, and just to remind you that this video it's my opinions. Yes, it's stuff that I bring through from the corporate world and when I used to work in HR, but they're also my opinions, so it's not set in stone. Other people have other opinions, but just if we could all just remember to be respectful to each other, that would be cool, because some people can't do that, which is really sad. But yeah, so anyway, I hope you've had chance to set yourself some goals and things from last week, and kind of had use the inserts that I've given you, and you kind of you're finding that useful. Obviously I am setting homework in these videos, but it's entirely up to you whether you do it. This isn't a class, it's not a paid for class. I'm doing it out of the kindness of my heart and because I enjoy doing it. So if you want to do the homework as well, then please do. If you don't, then no biggie. It's just me trying to help and inspire you to kind of get yourself motivated and on track and something. So no one's gonna be telling you off if you don't do your homework. It's just there as a guide and an inspiration, really. And there's more freebie inserts again for you today, which I'll put a link for in the bottom below. Okay, so put my cup of tea down, because time is money, time is of the essence. We need to crack on, really. So I just wanted to talk about, if I'm looking over to the side, that's because I've got my notes there, because I have a lot I want to cover, and if without notes, then I tend to veer off, basically. So if I kind of do that, that's what I'm doing, but I'll try and remain in contact. So following on from last week, we talked about goals. So hopefully, yeah, you've had a chance to kind of look at your goals a bit more. And I just wanted to sort of, kind of say that, why do you need goals and clear goals and things like that? And hopefully you've come to that conclusion as well for yourself. But if you don't have goals, then how do you know where you're going and what you're doing, and how do you know how to get there? How do you know how far you've gone, and how do you know how to get there? So basically your goal should be, looking at what you're doing, how you're going to get there, what your priorities are, and hopefully, that will make for a much easier and smoother life, and being able to kind of plan your time more effectively. And something that I really wanted to say is, don't confuse activity with achievement, because just because you've been busy all day does not mean that you've actually accomplished anything. Yes, I talk about organisation and time management, but I too can be the world's worst procrastinator if I want to. So I too have to kind of, I don't want to come across and be like I'm the be all and I know what I'm, that I'm kind of like the world's best at organising and all that, because I find it difficult too. Don't get me wrong, and I can go a whole day and not really have anything to show for it. So that's why goals are really important for me, so that I know where my time has been spent. And there's kind of a difference between efficiency and effectiveness as well. And, you know, efficient people complete tasks to an appropriate level of quality with the minimum amount of effort, and effective people achieve their goals. And, you know, efficiency is about doing things right, and effectiveness is about doing the right things. So, you know, it's important to be critical about deciding what to do as well as not what to do, if that makes sense. So, yes. So that being said, how are we spending our time? Which, you know, I mean, you know, you either work in or out of the home. You know, you may be housewives, you may have family, you may have a full-time job, part-time job, in the home, out the home. We're all busy. We've all got other demands on our time. You know, there are things that we want to do, there are things we need to do, there are things we have to do, there are things that we feel like we never get time to do. And, you know, time is one way, and it's only in a fixed supply. There are only so many hours in a day. There is only so much time that we can get things done. So we need to be realistic about that and really sit down and work out, you know, how many hours in your day. Because because if you work full-time outside of the home, you know, those 8 hours are someone else's. You know, they're not yours necessarily, they're someone else's, because you work for someone else. And then in the house, you know, you may only have this amount of time. So everybody's time is different. So, you know, but you're in control of that time and how you use it. Don't forget that. You know, you are in control, or you can be in control. Obviously, there are other factors. You know, things pop up, you know, without you realising, and things can go wrong. Or, you know, someone will call a meeting, or the boiler breaks, you know, things like that. So there are things that do happen outside of your control, but largely you can control your day. Or at least you can control if something does go wrong. You've got the other things under control, and then you've got some like wiggle room that you can factor that in. So trying and control your time and not let others control your time. And, you know, try and organise so that you can become more productive. So that leads us on basically to our first bit of homework. Are you ready? Okay, so the first bit of homework for you is to, over a couple of typical days, try and analyse how much time you're spending on certain tasks. Now, you may be saying to me, well, Anna, I won't have time to do that, but please make time. If it means that you get up 5 minutes earlier to do yesterday's day, or, you know, you switch off the telly 5 minutes, it only takes a couple of minutes, it's not going to take you long, switch off the telly 5 minutes earlier. Now, this is a big bugbear of mine. I used to find, not so much now, but when I used to work in an office, you know, people would be like, oh, you know, I wish I could read, but I don't have time, or I wish I could do this, I don't have time, I don't have time. But then when I used to talk to people, I used to find that they'd be watching the telly most of the evening. And I find that in our household, if we switch the telly off, we get far more done. The evenings feel longer, we get more accomplished, we get time to sit down and have a meal together, we get time to talk, and, you know, we get the chance to do things done. But we kind of make our TV more meaningful, in as much as we don't kind of sit down and just switch the TV on and spend all night just watching and flicking and going from program to program, because that's really easily done. You know, you're really easily hooked in, and before you know it, the evening's gone. But we all have programs that we like to watch. So particularly in today, we've got smart TVs, we've got, you know, like the Freeview and the on-demand channels and YouTube, and, you know, so a lot of the time we'll actually look at, you know, what programs we want to watch and schedule them into when it suits us. For example, if there's a program, for example, the other night it was on a BBC program and we were busy doing something else, so we thought we won't watch that now, you know, we'll watch it in a little while. We can go to the BBC iPlayer and then watch it. So that's what we tend to do, is if we want to watch TV, we'll kind of schedule it, in. We sound like, I don't know, we sound like someone who just kind of organises their entire life, but for us it works, you know, and that way we free up a lot of time, because we're not watching the adverts, we're not suckered into watching the next programme that comes on afterwards, which, you know, is really easily done. So what I want you to do is make a little bit of time for yourself. Either switch off the TV 5 minutes earlier, or get up earlier, or during your lunch break at work, have a sit down and have a think about where you're actually spending your time. And some of the places you may be spending your time is thinking, planning, writing, reading, you know, responding to emails, phoning people, reading a book, in a meeting, a coffee break, at a lunch, you know, picking your kids up from school. Now, I don't have children, so that is one area that I kind of fall down on. Because I don't have children, I don't really know what time children take up. So you will have to excuse that. It's not that I'm being anti-family or anything like that. It's just because I don't have you know, first-hand experience on that. So pick categories that fit you. So if you're, you know, you work outside of the office, you know, work in an office, you know, how much time do you spend replying to emails? How much time do you spend in meetings? How much time do you spend at the photocopier? You know, that kind of thing. Use the categories that work for you. You know, how much time do you spend cleaning nappies, cleaning bottles, picking the kids up, rallying them around? That sort of thing. So if you can, just try and do that. Make a little bit of a tally, or, you know, however, I'm not going to tell you how to do this, because everybody has their own different categories and their own time that they spend doing that. So, you know, just basically have a think, make a tally, or write some, you know, make your own categories. And, you know, I spent 5 hours doing this Monday, 2 hours Tuesday, 1 hour Wednesday, that kind of thing. And just do that for a couple of days. Just do that and see how you get on. So you may want to pause the video and come back another time and watch the rest after you've logged your time, or you may want to carry on watching the video and redo that. That's absolutely fine. So let's pretend that you've done that. How much time did you spend doing those things, and was it shocking for you? Because sometimes I think when you do that as an exercise, you kind of think, ooh, crikey, you know. And how much time did you spend on doing things that were out of your control? And how much time did you spend doing things that are in your control? Because that's another really useful thing to look at. And how much time do you spend actually doing things, rather than just kind of planning to do things and moving them around? And, you know, that's really useful to look at. And did you manage to progress any of your goals? Did you? You know, it's really, when you look back on it, you kind of think, oh, right, yeah, you know, and be truthful to yourself. If you spent 4 hours every night watching the TV, log it down, you know, and then when you look back on it, did it shock you? Do you enjoy that? You know. Right, so shall we put it into practice then? How I get myself sorted. I've drunk my tea, but basically I used to do this when I worked in an office, and I still do it now. I give myself permission. Remember this, you give yourself permission to sit down with your morning cup of tea and your planner. I use my planner on a Sunday night. I look through, do a quick, what am I doing for the week? And I'll start to, you know, write down what I'm doing for the week. And I also, every morning, I have my cup of tea and I sit down with my baby. I used to do this when I was at work. What I used to do when I was at work, and I still do it now, is I open my emails and I go through my emails first, whether I do it on my phone or my Kindle or the laptop or the computer. You know, these days you can check your emails wherever, so, you know, you might want to do it on the train, on the way to work, or the bus, or walking along, or what have you. So I check my emails first. I see what's come in. You know, particularly if you've got international clients, you know, stuff may have come in overnight. So I always check my email first. I very often just skim it. I very often just use the preview plane just to see what it's about. If it's a blog subscription, you know, that's come through, then I'll park that for later. You know, I'm literally focusing on the work or the to-dos as and when they come in. So if you're sitting there with your planner or whatever, and your boss says that you're not really working, it's poppycock, and you can be polite, but you can tell him it's poppycock or her, you know, because in order to do your job effectively, whether you're an office worker or a home worker, whatever it is, in order to have a fulfilling day and achieve everything in the day, you need those 5 minutes to work out what you're actually going to do in the day. And every boss should respect that. So, you know, and it's exactly what I used to do. I mean, I used to be a PA in a busy HR department. I've been a HR administrator, and I was also a HR officer delivering training. So, you know, I've been in the corporate world. I've advised managers. I've been there. I know what they can be like. And now I work for myself. You know, as I've said before, I went back to college and retrained, and I work for myself now. And, you know, yes, I bring everything that I learned in the corporate world through into the home environment, working for myself, and also in terms of looking after the house. So it is important for you to do this. Spend some time with your planner. Spend some time going over your priorities and your to-do lists. So hopefully you all got the printable from the freebie printable from week 1. So literally I'll have me a cup of tea and I'll be going through my planner, flicking through, going back to my emails, and I shall, you know, as I go through that, you know, I'll look in my diary if your diary is electronic or whether it's online. You know, you've got your meetings and your appointments. You know, I will go through and I'll be like, right, okay, I need to file that today. I need to do my tax return. I'm making this up, by the way. I need to phone the garage. I need to change the sheets on the bed. You know, that kind of thing. So I'm going through, I'm writing out what I want to accomplish in that day. And, you know, on a Monday when I'm doing this, I'll also schedule things in, you know, for the rest of the week. But, so schedule it in. You know, like at 10 AM, I've got a meeting. At 2 PM, I've got to pick so-and-so up, you know. But I also want some time for myself. So, you know, I'm going to set an alarm in my phone, because at 4:50, before I've got to start thinking about dinner, or before, you know, I want to spend some time and I want to read a book. But I'm going to do that from 4:50, and I'm going to be realistic and say I'm going to have half an hour to do that. I mean, I'm doing this really quickly, so my writing is big and it's messy, but because I don't want the video to go on forever and ever. So you can see what I'm doing there. This bit here is where I'm scheduling my time. I'm scheduling in my meetings, I'm scheduling in my appointments, I'm scheduling in the things that I want to do, things that I know I need to do at a certain time. On this side here, take the pens. So on this side here, I'm scheduling in the tasks that I want to accomplish today. You know, they may not be time relevant. These things here are time relevant. This is how I'm going to plot my day. These things here, these are things I want to accomplish in the day. Don't be afraid of getting your post-its out. You know, you've got various different post-its. If you run out of room, you know, post it, take it off, stick it down, you know, cross it off, whatever floats your boat, whatever works for you in that way, then do it. But, you know, grab that cup of, you know, grab the stuff that's going to lubricate the grey matter, and, you know, just spend some time with your planner. And if it makes you happy, you know, decorate it, highlight it, whatever, you know, just do whatever you need to do in order to spend some time. And keep your planner, if it's not confidential and you're at work, leave it open on your desk, you know, leave it open on the kitchen counter at home, you know, keep going back to it, keep going back, tick it off, am I on schedule? Yep. That is what I do. You may find it's different for you. You may find that, you know, you'll do it first thing in the morning, you'll go back to it at lunch. You know, everyone's lives are different, everyone's jobs are different, everyone's personal lives are different. So, you know, you need to find a system that works for you. So that's homework number whatever. Spend some time doing this and find a system that works for you. And as I said in week 1's goal setting, this is an overlap with time management. And hopefully the stuff I talked about last week with goal setting now makes sense. So let's look now on prioritising tasks. And, you know, once you've analysed where you spend your time and, you know, your to-do list and everything, you can start to, if you want to, you know, this is another free download for you, the link's below. It's available in the A5 size as well as the personal size. And it's just another tool. You don't have to use it. You might use it once, realise it's not for you, you know, whatever. I mean, I use this mentally. I don't use this, the actual physical insert. I do it mentally in my head. So you've got 4 boxes, A, B, C and D. A is important and urgent. D is not important and not urgent. So this is the utmost, oh my gosh, this, you know, do this soon or face the consequences. B is plan to do these or they will soon become A's. So as you can see, I've got this arrow here because you will find that if you don't do things in D, they'll soon become C's, which will soon become B's, which will soon become A's. Okay, so things do tend to move like that. But equally, you may find that things that become A, you might have run out of time, so it becomes superfluous, which means it either goes back to D or it falls off altogether. So just watch that. So C's are do these quickly to minimise their impact on time, and D's are these necessary at all. Now, you need to think about that with D, is if they're not important and they're not urgent, then why are you doing it? That being said, there could be things like, let me think of it. Can I think of an example? Okay. In the grand scheme of things, say redecorating my office, it might not necessarily be important because it's certainly not urgent, but is it important? It's not important as in it doesn't need doing, but it might be important to me for aesthetics and motivation. I don't know. So is that a D or is that like a C or a B? You know, so that's what you need to start asking yourself. Use this if it helps you. If it doesn't help you, then, you know, then don't use it. It's, you know, it's just something else that I'm providing to help you in prioritising yourself. As I say, I do this, I tend to do this mentally. You know, you may want to like put some things in there and use this as but use it to, you know, perhaps feed your to-do list. You know, however you find that it works for you, basically. If you don't think it works for you, if you don't think this is going to work for you, then by all means don't use it. You know, I'm just providing it for you as you know, as an extra tool to help you plan your list and what things take more priority over other things. So if you're struggling to do that, if you're struggling to think what takes priority, what's more important than something else, then maybe start using this for a while. But it's there, it's, you know, it's free to use. If you want to, please do. If you don't, then don't. Okay, so now we've worked out our to-do list and how we're going to schedule our time for the day. Let's look at avoiding procrastination and how we can actually get what we plan to do done. So I find that I need to, often I have a big task and I need to break that down into little tasks so that it's kind of easier to manage, small chunks, and you can just, you know, you can just tick it off a lot quicker and you feel like you're accomplishing something and you whiz it down. And if I feel like I'm accomplishing something, I feel more motivated to then get the next thing done. But then that's just how I work. Some people would prefer to have, like, you know, because when you do that you end up with a lot on your to-do list, whereas some people would prefer to have a smaller to-do list, but then not necessarily get things ticked off. So, you know, what sort of person are you? If you're like me, you know, you feel more motivated to crack on and do more things if you can tick it off faster, regardless of how big it is. You know, whereas if a long to-do list daunts you, then, you know, you may not want to do that. So you need to work out what's best for you. And if you're a journaler, there's another bit of homework for you. If you're a journaler, write down about how you feel about that. How, you know, how do you feel about whether you're overwhelmed by a long to-do list, or you like to tick it off and get it done. You know, if you're a journaler, incorporate that into your journaling for the week. How did you feel about it all? That's, you know, that's what we want to get down. And just bearing in mind that, to try and put a positive spin on the tasks, you know, because if you feel more positive about something, you're more likely in order to do it. So just try, and even if it's a really horrible task, like, I don't know, I hate cleaning the toilet. But if I clean the toilet, I'll have a clean toilet. And I like having a clean bathroom. So, you know, part of me is like, oh God, I've got to clean the toilet. Whereas I'm like, by the way, I just want to say that we're not total mingers. So, but it's just not a job that I enjoy. Equally, before I had a dishwasher, I hated washing up, but I like to clean kitchen. So that's kind of the positive spin that I put on doing the task, basically. Easier said than done, but try and avoid doing something else instead. I.e., I'll just do this before I do that, or oh, it's too late now, I'll tackle it tomorrow. Don't do that, because you'll do that every day otherwise, you know, and it will never get done. And those jobs that were on, like, your C list will soon become your A list. So just get them done. You don't like it, no one likes things. I have never, will never like filing, but I have to do it. For example, on Monday, I did my tax return and I had to go through all my receipts and stuff, and I've never liked doing filing, and, you know, I just looked at it all and I was like, oh God, I should have filed this as I went, and I should have logged it as I went, because going back and doing it now is just a pain in the backside. So I don't always practice what I preach, but I know the principles, and that's because I've hated filing. So I'm looking at it now going, oh, and I feel like a trip to Staples coming on to get some more dividers and things. So try and think about things that will encourage you to do the job. You know, if you're a Post-it fan, buy some pretty Post-its. You know, like I was just saying that in order to help me with my filing, I might go and buy some filing folders. You know, yes, okay, not everybody has the money to do certain things, but there are things that you can do more cheaply. You know, I did a tutorial on how to print your own, make your own pretty Post-its, so go and check that out. Start your large tasks first. That's something that I always used to do. They're often a massive source of frustration and stress, but if you break them down into manageable chunks, then it's usually a lot easier. And try and build some time in for kind of thinking about it and processing it all, and do things in a logical order, because, you know, if you're doing one thing and it leads to another, then do that. Don't kind of jump around from tasks. For example, I always have a day in the month when I do my accounts. That's because if I'm sending out invoices, then it's more time efficient to sit down and do all my invoices at one go. Because by the time I've opened my spreadsheet, logged it all down, opened the invoice template, written it down, etc., it's more time efficient for me to do it in one go rather than to spend my entire life dipping in and out. The same with your emails. Try and, the trouble is with smartphones these days, we get bings and bongs and dings and tongs all the time when an email comes through. And yes, that was a technical term. Try and ignore that, because otherwise you'll spend your entire time, oh, I've got a new email. You know, try and think, right, okay, I'm going to sit down with my coffee in the morning, go through my emails, and then I'll go back to them at lunchtime. You'll get more things done that way, grouping it all together rather than keep going in and out, backwards and forwards. And that is something that I do now, and I used to do in the workplace too, when I didn't work from home for myself. Make sure that you are realistic with your tasks and the amount of time that you're allocating to do your tasks as well. And don't be afraid to ask others for support or help or advice. You know, people can do the job better, know the job better, ask them. So, organisation. Easier said than done, because I can be quite bad at it. But try and keep a tidy desk or a tidy kitchen or a whatever, because when something's messy, you can't see the wood for the trees, and it gets worse and worse and worse until you get to a point that you're so stressed out about it that you're just like, and you know, like I said about the filing, how much easier would it have been for me and quicker would it have been for me to do my tax return if I'd have already spent a little bit of time prior to doing it, to go through my receipts, or if I'd have filed everything properly, it would have gone a lot quicker. And I tend to, about once a week, stuff gets piled up on my desk, about once a week I go through and I tidy it all back and I put everything in its right place, apart from the filing that's stacking up. You know, and just keeping things tidier helps as you go. Like in my kitchen, underneath my sink, I've got little tubs where I've got like all my cleaning products and things, because it takes a little bit of time to do that in the first place, to get something organised, but going forward it's so much easier because you can just go and grab something, and go and grab something. It seems really anal and really fussy to begin with, but it's something that's really helped me. Because if I can't see something, then I forget I've got it, or I forget to do it, or, you know, so just having everything clear and organised just really helps me. And be aware of time passing. You know, if needs be, if you're saying, right, okay, I'm going to sit down now and read my book, I'm going to go on Pinterest. If time is of the essence, set an alarm for yourself. Or just be conscious of how long it's taking you to do a task and maybe reevaluate that task. You know, if you're, you know, what does it need doing? Yes, you know, like if you're going through your emails, have you got something that's more pressing? You know, should you perhaps park your emails for now and come back to them later? So just really be aware of your time passing. And keep going back to your daily list. You know, keep going back to that. And as time goes on and you get used to doing this, you'll start to either think, right, I'm only going to spend an hour on my emails, or you'll be like, oh, well, I only need to spend an hour on my emails, you know, because I don't get that many, you know. So how much time you need to spend on something will start to become more apparent to you as the more you do it. Don't take on other people's jobs. You know, there's nothing wrong with saying no if you're busy. The trouble is, I mean, like, I like to please people, so, you know, I'll always put other people first before myself, but sometimes that then has a detrimental effect on me. So just try and, it may be hard for you to do that, but just try and think about that a bit. You know, be polite to people. You know, I'm not saying be rude, but, you know, you don't have to take everything on. You don't have to take on everybody's worries and pressures and jobs, and, you know, just be mindful of that, basically. And set yourself realistic deadlines. You know, don't promise delivery of something by the end of the day if you're pretty sure it's going to take you 2 days. Or if you think it's going to take you 2 days, plan it to be 2.5 days and leave yourself some wiggle room for any disasters or, you know, unexpected things that crop up, because they do. You know, try and look ahead to potential problems. So, you know, you've got 8 hours, say. Only plan 7 hours of those. because one of your jobs may take an hour longer or something unexpected might pop up. So just try and look ahead. And book out some time to spend, you know, with your diary. Book out 5 minutes to spend with your diary. You know, book out, say, you know, diarise yourself. I'm going to spend time with my planner for 5 minutes, you know. You know, it's important that you spend that time. You know, there are things we need to do, but there are things we also want to do for our own sanity and our own enjoyment, because life ain't much fun if we're constantly doing things we have to do and not things we want to do. So if you want to art or read or journal or go to the gym, or that's not one of mine, plan it in so you get time to enjoy yourself. And that is really important. You know, we've got to plan time in for ourselves. If you like taking baths or you like to meditate, plan it in, you know, because otherwise you'll never find the time. You know, you'll never find the time unless you plan it in or put it on a to-do list. I'm going to have a bath today. Complete one task at a time. Don't flip between them. You know, just try and plough through. Paperwork. Deal with it when it comes in. Don't leave it to pile up. File it or bin it. You know, your emails. Turn off your notifications on your phone. Read them when you're ready. You know, if it was important, someone would ring you, really, wouldn't they? I don't know, maybe they wouldn't, but you know, just think about that. Are you saving lives? Can it wait until tomorrow? Can it wait until later when you can plan it in and do it all coherently? You know, I'm not saying it's right or wrong, because everybody has a different life, so you have to, you know, do what's right for you. Don't be over ambitious. Don't take on too much. You know, we all have these great ideas. Don't take on too much, because you'll end up being a jack of all trades and a master of none. You'll do nothing well. So just, you know, don't take on too much and set realistic deadlines for yourself and learn to say no. You know, you don't have to be rude to people, but you know, just say to people, oh, I'm sorry, I can't do that, I've got to finish this report by 5 PM, or, you know, you could say to people, I can't do that right now, but I could perhaps schedule it in for 10 AM tomorrow, or, you know, something like that. We all need a bit of pressure and a bit of a deadline, because it's kind of what motivates us. We need a certain bit of pressure to perform well. You know, so we do need targets and deadlines and something to aim at and something to do, because otherwise we're just a bit like, eh. You know, I mean, I've had times in the past where I've been made redundant and I've been unemployed, and before I really knew who I was and what I was doing, and before I was comfortable with myself, you know, when I was younger, I would just be like, oh, bored, nothing to do. You know, it's because we need that motivation. We need something to motivate us to get up in the morning. You know, so we need a bit of pressure in order to be able to perform, but then too much pressure leads to stress, leads to us, you know, feeling too overwhelmed or not being able to get much done. Too little pressure leads to boredom, frustration and no performance. So you need to try and think about getting that balance right and finding where that balance is for you. You know, finding where your comfort zone is. That's really important. Where is your comfort zone? So that's all things to think about this week for, you know, for journaling purposes. Where is your comfort zone? So let's just summarise. So basically keep your objectives and your goals in mind when you're doing something. Decide what you should be doing and take control of your time. Don't let anyone else tell you what you should be doing. Kind of, unless it's your boss. But even if it's your boss at work, there is nothing wrong with saying, yes, okay, I take that on board. However, I'm currently in the middle of the job. You know, pass the buck back. Say to your boss, what would you like me to do? You know, be polite. Always be polite. Always be gracious. Say to him, yes, I can do that, but I'm currently doing this. What would you like me to do first? Pass the buck back to your manager. At the end of the day, it's his job as well. So do that. But try and make control of your own time. Analyse your time occasionally. I know it may seem difficult to find the time to do that, But I think it's good to go back and just keep looking. Are you spending your time effectively and making good use of your time? Don't agree to take on too much that you can't handle. Don't be afraid to say no. Don't be afraid to push back to other people, you know, if you can. And be realistic about when you're scheduling it in as well. Don't procrastinate putting off those unpleasant jobs. Try and just get them done. And prioritise your tasks against urgency and importance. Plan how you'll achieve your tasks. Which order are you going to do things? You know, first things first. Minimise your interruptions if possible. Try and make time for emergencies or wiggle room in case something takes longer than you would expect. And if you end up with more time on your hands, then great. Then you can go and do the stuff that you really want to do. Plan in time for those things you want to do as well. If you want to take a bath that day, you know, if you enjoy taking baths, you enjoy taking time out to do some art, plan it in, you know, plan it in and have some you time. There's nothing wrong with that. We all need time for ourselves. You know, we give to other people all the time, but we need time to do ourselves as well, to make ourselves happy, you know, and to nourish our soul and our interests. Try and keep your home and your work life as clear as possible. Try and tidy up as you go. It is hard, I know, but it just makes things so much easier as you go. Make a regular to-do list and keep going back to it. Tick things off, move things around, reschedule. Just, your planner only works if you use it, so use it. And, you know, I gave you the inserts last week for your diary with your to-do lists in them. You've got that. I've already done a video tutorial for you on how to print your own post-it notes. So use these things. Lastly, be ruthless with your time, but gracious with people. And if you're still here, well done you. I just want to read something that's quite profound to you. So if you're still here with me, well done. Thank you for sticking around. Thank you for investing time in yourselves. You know, please do use your planners. They only work if you use them. And, you know, you'll start to develop ways that work for you. Everyone is different, but you need to use it in order for it to work. If it's not working, then you need to look at why it's not working, and do you need different inserts? Do you need to make your own? There are so many out there. You know, yes, there are my inserts that I sell, the ones I give to you away is for free as well, but I'm not the only one that does inserts. Filofax make their own inserts. There are other ones that you can buy, you know, there are so many. So do your research. If the ones you've got aren't working for you, do your research. Find the ones that do, or make your own. And if you're still here, thank you. I hope you've enjoyed the series so far. I've really enjoyed doing them and sharing them with you. They do take a lot of time out of my week and day as well, because I have to spend time. Yes, a lot of this stuff I know already from HR, but I still have to sit down, plot what I'm going to say. I don't do a script, but I do prompts for what I'm going to say. I do make, you know, I do sit and write up homework. I do the blog post to go with it, so that you've got the homework in writing as well if you want to. You know, I have to think of the homework, I have to sort out the inserts and make them available for download, I have to edit. You know, it takes quite a lot of my time up. So I just hope that you're getting something from it as well. So I've got all your comments from the giveaway, so I'm going to go through those and go through my own ideas. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do next week. But I will be back next week with another Filofax Friday. I've got loads of ideas. You've given me loads of stuff that you want to know as well. I had some thumbs down. You always get thumbs down. I'm learning to deal with that. But if you don't like this video, just please let me know why. because I do put a lot of time, heart, soul, energy, and I want to, if they're too long, tell me, whatever. So I'm kind of doing this because I like doing it and sharing it with you guys, but I want you to get the most from it as well. So let me know in the comments section below. And if you're using the inserts, let me know, because I see loads of you have downloaded the ones from last week, but I haven't actually had, it's interesting because I've had loads of people download the insert, but not many people commented on the video that went with the inserts. So it's kind of weird knowing that your inserts are out there being downloaded by people that you haven't had a conversation with. So say hi, I like hearing from you. And I'm going to almost shut up now. You know, if you want to switch off, that's fine. But if you're still here, I've got something. I'm going to put it in the freebie link as well. The freebie link is below for week 2. If you missed week 1's freebie, then go back to either week 1's video or go to the blog and you'll find it on there. And week 2, this week's freebie is below. The freebies are different to what the inserts that I sell, just to make that clear as well. So if you've already bought my inserts, don't worry, I'm not giving the same thing away for free, because I know that would be really, really annoying. You know, I hate that when you buy something and a week later it's in the sale for 50% off. That's really annoying. So if you've already bought my inserts, don't worry, these are different inserts. So make sure you download them because they are free, and don't worry, I'm not giving away stuff that you've already bought. So I just want to read something to you that's I find really interesting and quite profound. So if you are interested in reading it, then please carry on watching. If not, I will see you next week for week 3. Take care. Bye-bye. Awesome, you're still here. Right, okay. So I just want to read this out. It's called The Mayonnaise Jar and 2 Cups of Coffee. And the author's unknown, but it's from way back in August 2004. And so I've known about this for a long time. And the website it came from was inequilibrium.co.uk. And they are they're like a training organisation, and they do sort of stress and stuff like that, so soft skills. So I just want to read this to you because I think it's very interesting. When things in your life seem almost too much to handle, when 24 hours in a day are not enough, remember the mayonnaise jar and the 2 cups of coffee. A professor stood before his philosophy class and had some items in front of him. When the class began, he wordlessly picked up a very large and empty mayonnaise jar and proceeded to fill it with golf balls. He then asked the students if the jar was full. They agreed that it was. The professor then picked up a box of pebbles and poured them into the jar. He shook the jar lightly. The pebbles rolled into the open areas between the golf balls. He then asked the students again if the jar was full. They agreed that it was. The professor next picked up a box of sand and poured it into the jar. Of course, the sand filled up everything else. He asked once more if the jar was full. The students responded with a unanimous yes. The professor then produced 2 cups of coffee from under the table and poured the entire contents into the jar, effectively filling the empty space between the sand. The students laughed. Now, said the professor, as the laughter subsided, I want you to recognise that this jar represents your life. The golf balls are the important things, your family, your children, your health, your friends, and your favourite passions. And if everything else were lost and only they remained, your life would still be full. The pebbles are the other things that matter, like your job, your house, and your car. The sand is everything else, the small stuff. If you put the sand into the jar first, he continued, there is no room for the pebbles or the golf balls. The same goes for life. If you spend all your time and energy on the small stuff, you will never have room for the things that are important to you. Pay attention to the things that are critical to your happiness. Play with your children. Take time to get medical checkups. Take your spouse out to dinner. Play another 18 holes of golf. There will always be time to clean the house and put out the rubbish. Take care of the golf balls first, the things that really matter. Set your priorities. The rest is just sand. One of the students raised her hand and inquired what the coffee represented. The professor smiled. I'm glad you asked. It just goes to show you that no matter how full your life may seem, there's always room for a couple of cups of coffee with a friend. And there we go. I love that. It's free in the download freebie below for you to just open it and read it, or to print it out and put it in your Filofax or whatever for you to look back on at another time. But I love that. I think that's just the right sentiment for everything. So go forth, go live your life, go have fun, and I'll see you next week. Bye.